PTSD isn't just affecting veterans anymore. It silently fuels our criminal justice system. And here is the shocking truth. 60% of male and 72% of female prisoners reported childhood abuse or trauma before their crime. Behind these statistics are real people like Beetroot, who survived the Khmer Rouge genocide in Cambodia, an event so horrific it turned an entire country into a graveyard. She carried invisible scars for decades, nightmares that never ended, flashbacks that played like movies on repeat in her mind. Imagine your brain reset button getting permanently stuck, forcing you to relive your worst moment over and over again. That's what untreated PTSD can do. In Beetroot's case, those flashbacks eventually turned to rage. Her paranoia morphed into hatred until one day her past trauma manifests in ways no one could have predicted. She committed a murder she claimed she didn't remember, the killing of a 6-year-old child, and then delivered the body to the child's mother's doorstep. This wasn't just any crime. It forced us to confront impossible questions about where illness ends and evil begins. Can trauma truly erase accountability under the law? Study shows that people with PTSD may be at higher risk of violent behavior, like having a broken leg make you more likely to fall. But that doesn't mean they're not responsible for their action. In Cambodia, 92% of Khmer Rouge survivors experience at least one traumatic event. And in Cambodian communities in America, over 60% still suffer from PTSD decades later. These are not just numbers. They are people whose brains are literally wired differently because of what they endure. The court are slowly beginning to understand this complexity. Veteran courts are now offer specialized programs focusing on treatment rather than punishment. Sentencing guideline is increasingly considering PTSD as a major factor. It's not about excusing criminal behavior. It's about understanding the context that create a more effective justice system. These trauma-informed approach are changing how the justice system handle PTSD case. This is not just a story about murder. It's a story about excuse, justice, and the line between human suffering and human cruelty. Let me redefine cruelty to you. Police are hiding a devastating truth about missing children cases. The first 24 hours, also known as the golden time. This will determine whether a child will ever come home alive or in one piece. Morning light break over a quiet Louisiana neighborhood. The dew cling to the glaze of glass, tiny bit left behind by the night air. Each step across the lawn pressed into the wet grass, soaking through the shoes. Scene shatter as police siren cutting through the stillness. Police cars circling methodically. Slow, then fast, then slow again. They try to hurry, they have to hurry, but if they try too fast, they may miss something critical. Every sidewalk crack, every shadow could hide the clue that they need. The recovery rate of missing children plummet drastically after the first 24 to 48 hours. Just like a medical condition that becomes harder to treat the longer it goes undiagnosed. It all starts with a frantic call from a panicked father. My daughter is missing, he joked out through tears. 6-year-old Rose wasn't in her bed when she went to check on his daughter this morning. Even more troubling, his girlfriend was also nowhere to be found. Rose was always scared of Beetroot, he explained, his voice breaking. The dispatcher immediately knew this was serious. Your address, sir, she asked. Already dispatched officer to the scene. This was not just any missing child case. This was potential of family adoption. One of the most common scenarios when children disappear. The father distress make it harder to get information, like trying to navigate with a broken compass. Then, Every direction mattered. Two officers arrived at the house within minutes, collecting vital details about both Rose and the missing girlfriend. They radio in the information. A 6-year-old girl missing, possibly with an Asian woman between 40 and 45 years old. Every available unit joined the search, creating a grid pattern to meticulously cover the neighborhood. Most people think stranger adoptions are the biggest stress, but reality tells a different story. Most missing children are taken by someone they know. The community mobilized quickly. The neighbor joined the search effort. Everyone become an extension of the investigation. Extra eyes scanning for any sign of Rose. These first critical hours are like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. Some pieces missing, other potentially from a different puzzle altogether. But when the community work together, those small observations can add up to significant clues. Every minute that passes feels like an hour to Rose's father. For police, it's a race against an invisible clock that start ticking the moment Rose disappeared. Amber Alert system activates, broadcasting Rose information across the region. Since its creation, Amber Alert had helped recover 1,268 children who may otherwise never have made it home. Time is the ultimate enemy in a missing child's investigation, which is passing hour decreasing recovery chance. Radically, the first 24 hours truly are the difference between life and death. Mother-daughter relationships have always been complex, but there's a dark truth beneath suburban homes. Mother can sense danger to their children even before it happens, triggering a primal response that overrides all rational thought. Janet stepped out of the car, her body tight with worry that pushes her forward like an invisible force. Her back ached from getting up too fast this morning, but she cannot slow down now. The soft, puffy cheeks she carried for 60 years are not powder, not repair. She didn't come to be seen. She come as a mother and a grandmother, driven by that primal instinct that something is terribly wrong. Janet pulled into the driveway of her daughter Anna's house, her mother's suburban home on a street where neighbor porches clean clothes, almost watching each other. It's the kind of place that feels familiar to any American, a normal suburb that masks underlying anxiety. Beneath its ordinary appearance, this neighborhood with its cracked sidewalk and oak-lined street, high story behind every door. Janet hurries across the patchy grass of the backyard, focused only on reaching her daughter. But halfway there, she stopped, mid-stride, mid-breath. Her body locked before her mind does, as if her instinct recognized the truth before her conscious thought could catch up. It's like a low-rate fever that won't break, constantly reminding her something is wrong with her granddaughter. Hands on her knee, Janet bends down and let out the heart-clenching sound. She called her daughter's name with a voice that carried decades of maternal fear. It's not just a name, it's a primal scream that communicates everything without a single additional word. That sound is total loss, grief, and fear. The despair mixed into a single tone. It's the same sound that Anna heard years ago when her mother called out her father's name. Anna was in the living room when she heard her mother calling for her name. That distinctive cry that makes your stomach just crop instantly. It doesn't take 30 years of being someone's daughter to recognize when your mother calls your name like that. It's just different, it's just broken. It's an invisible cord that connects mother and child, tugging at the heart when they are in distress. Anna didn't think. She just moved. Like a fire alarm going off, she reacted without conscious thought. With bare feet, she ran across the living room floor and through the doorway into the cold morning air. Her heart already bracing for what her ear had promised. She ran straight to her mother, who is bending, shaking, looking like pain make flesh. Anna doesn't stop to ask because the answer is already sitting right there. Waiting in the yard, a white bucket with reddish smear around the lid. She dropped to her knees beside it, her finger clawed at the rim. Twist, pull, twist again, but it won't open. Anna pulled the lid once and twice and then she stopped. Her hands fall away because she doesn't want to be the one to open it. She already feels what's inside, already reading it. And no mother wants that final proof to come from her own hands. So she sits back, trembling, her eye fixed to the bucket. She called her ex-husband, Gurka, who is on his way with the police close behind. An officer stepped out and see them, the two mothers in the yard, standing shoulder to shoulder, both crying without sound, both staring at the same white bucket. They approached the mother praying this is not going to be the most heartbreaking moment of their career. But as they get closer to the bucket, one officer looked at the other, a silent question passing between them. Who's going to open it? Because whoever does may not walk away the same, may need 6 months of reassessment, may never scrub this image from their head. The lid cracked open with a dull snap. Silence just spread across the yard, then screaming, the sound of a mother losing a child. I do not know how to describe that sound with words. Down there, inside in the bucket, lay little Rose, no longer joyful, no longer laughing. Never will they see her running up and down the hall again. Never will they have a chance to correct her over-exciting nature. Curved, small, folded wrong, still in her pajama. Janet, the grandmother, just collapsed right onto the ground. Anna ran forward, straight at the bucket. Her scream continued, staring to the yard, the hands reaching desperately to touch her child, as if she can undo the morning, hugging her, protecting her, as if hug and kiss can make all the bad things go away. But an officer wrapped her arm around her waist. Little Rose now is a victim, and the bucket is now the evidence. I cried 3 times while writing the script, and I'm crying now while reporting it to you. And I need to warn you now, what you're about to hear requires viewer description, not just as a formality, but as a genuine warning from someone who felt every single word of the story. This is about the raw, unfiltered reality that some stories carry a weight so heavy they leave permanent mark on those who tell them. And as usual, I have to mention that English is not my first language. So thank you for your patience and literally understanding me, especially when I become emotional. It's harder to control my mouth. I also want to thank you for your support. You may have noticed that we are a tiny channel, and your like, share, and comment are really important to us. Not to beg, but my entire family already like and share everything everywhere. The reason I'm telling you this is because I'm trying to lighten up the mood a little bit, because this case is so emotionally heavy. Alright, with all that declaration, let's get into the story. The forensic investigator discovered a little girl dead in her backyard with no visible wound. The shocking truth is that even without obvious trauma, they can still determine exactly how she died. The corner van rolled up quietly, tire crunching softly on the gravel. Door open, white suit stepped out, the snap of the latex glove echoing through the still morning air. You think a crime scene would be chaos, but it's the opposite. Every movement is calculated, every action deliberate. The backyard transformed into a sterile laboratory. The sharp smell of chemical mingling in the scent of fresh cut grass. They move methodically, the voice harsh as camera click in rhythmic succession. Most people think forensic work is glamorous, like on TV, but the reality is hours of painstaking, emotionally draining work. They photograph the bucket from every angle, the grass around it, the subtle impression of the soil that moss would never notice. Little Rose lie there in her pajama, looking almost peaceful. No blood on the grass, no visible injury to explain why a child isn't breathing anymore. The mother sits frozen on the porch, her quiet sob forming a heartbreaking backdrop to the investigation. Time stopped for everyone but those investigators who keep moving because the alternative is to acknowledge the unbearable stillness of a child. Time of death, the detective asked, his voice cracking slightly. Lightly around midnight, hours before discovery, the medical examiner responded, explaining the temperature, the rigidity of the small body, without a single drop of blood or external wound. They're already building the theory. Strangulation, head trauma, internal bleeding. The bucket become their focus, a potential treasure trove of DNA, fingerprint, microscopic evidence that tell a story to human eyes cannot see. It's like putting together an impossible puzzle where some pieces are invisible until science reveals them. This is not about solving a mystery. This is about justice for Rose. Every swab taken, every fiber collected, every photograph captured in a word, in a final story that Rose can no longer tell herself. In a world where people think murders are solved in 60-minute episodes, the truth is that justice often hangs in the meticulous work happening in this backyard. Forensic science isn't just solving puzzles, it's giving voice to the victim who can no longer speak for themselves. And in the case of little Rose, these silent witnesses may be our only path to justice. A child body was found in a bucket and the father's girlfriend has mysteriously vanished. When detectives investigate child homicide, they don't immediately look for the outside suspect. They target those closest to the victim first. In this case, detectives always start with the home environment. Home is where a child spends most of their time, surrounded by the people they have the most access to them. The first critical step is separating the parent for individual questioning. No chance for them to align their stories or cover for each other. When was the last time you saw Rose? The detective asked the father, Gurka. His voice is steady, but his eyes dark around the room. The detective noted this behavior without comment. What time did she go to bed? Who was home last night? Those are not random questions. They are establishing a timeline and identifying everyone with access to the child. The detective leaned forward. Was the door locked? Window secure. Did you hear anything unusual? There was no sign of forced entry, no broken mirror, no broken lock, no evidence an outsider had gained access to the home. When there was no break-in and no unusual noise, the spotlight immediately shifted inward. I come home late last night and went straight to bed, Gurka explained. They were already asleep by the time I got home. The detective pressed harder. Inconsistent in a parent's story are like blood in the water. So you didn't see the kid at all last night? No, I went straight to bed. Then how do you know they went to bed if you were not at home? A moment of tension fills the room. My girlfriend, she put them to bed. She texted me about it. The detective looked at the text conversation between Gurka and his girlfriend, Beetroot. The message showed that Gurka checking in from work. Beetroot's reply is detailed. They brush their teeth, change their pajama, and are in bed. They still giggling but will be asleep soon. The tooth fairy came by. She was referring to Tulip losing her milk tooth earlier. Tulip is Rose's sister. Her last message, what time will you be home? But there's something else the detective cannot ignore. Beetroot, the girlfriend, has vanished. Gone missing the same morning the child body was discovered. The detective exchanged knowing look. When someone connected to the victim disappeared during an investigation, it's rarely a coincidence. They immediately deploy officers to monitor the father movement. Any suspicious behavior like disposing of evidence will be immediately flagged. A team is dispatched to search for the missing girlfriend. An additional officer fan out to interview the neighbor and school officer. The lead detective joined the forensic team at the victim home. where the real story often lies hidden in plain sight. In the first 48 hours after a child body is found, detectives focus on their closest to them, where 70% of murder are identified, and when someone suddenly disappeared during the investigation, they just move to the top of the suspect list. A child intuition detective a killer before anyone else could. And the shocking truth is, the 6-year-old Rose told her teacher she felt unsafe around her father's girlfriend just days before she was murdered. While most adults dismiss children's fear as imagination, Rose Gurka instinct was tragically accurate. Her educator would later tell detectives that Rose had become noticeably quieter over time. The little girl who once asked silly questions about clowns and dinosaurs now clung to her sister, Tulip, more than ever. She cried at things that never used to faze her. What's more chilling is that this behavior shift was not connected to her parents' divorce. Anna and Gurka had separated years earlier, and both children has adjusted remarkably well to splitting time between households. The change come later when someone new entered their life. Her name was Beetroot. At least that's what everyone called her. Born in Cambodia, she arrived in America at 12 as a refugee, carrying invisible scars from a traumatic childhood. By teenager, she was working odd jobs, restaurant, nail salon, cleaning houses, picking up English from TV show and community classes. Counselor noticed concerning pattern, long silence, sudden anger, complete emotional shutdown. Eventually, she found better paying work in Louisiana adult entertainment industry. That's where she met Rose's father. Gurka visited the club once, then again, and soon their conversation extended beyond the neon lights. When COVID hit around 2020, she moved into his home permanently. 2 years under the same roof, 2 years of school run, bedtime story, and family dinners. On paper, she looked like a part of the family, but behind closed doors, something was terribly wrong. Rose confided in her sister Tulip that Mrs. Beetroot is mean. She told her grandmother Janet about being sent to timeout for no reason. The young girl's fear was specific and consistent. She didn't want to stay at Daddy's house because of the girlfriend present. Investigators would later discover that Beetroot harbored an inexplicable resentment toward Rose. She hates Rose, Beatrice hates Rose. While the woman never physically harmed the child, her cold glare and subtle hostility create an environment of psychological intimidation. Some experts theorize that Rose, with her little gap-toothed smile and the nature charm, represents something that Beetroot had lost, innocent, or perhaps the childhood stolen from her by war and displacement. I don't know. She just hates Rose, and Tulip is just 2 years older than Rose, but she didn't hate Tulip. Others suggest that the girl's close relationship with her father triggered jealousy in a woman whose entire life had been marked by abandon. My theory is that she's jealous with the mother. That's why she wants to hurt the mother. I don't know. The night before Rose disappeared, Gurka finally confronted his girlfriend. He learned from the school about his daughter's fear. Witnesses report hearing him telling Beatrice that things must change around here. He couldn't have his daughter afraid of her. Either she needs to fix the situation or he would reconsider their relationship. The following morning, Rose was found murdered. Beatrice was nowhere to be found. What happened in those dark hours between confrontation and daybreak would stun every detective. They had missed crucial warning signs. The case underscored how vital it is to listen when child express fear. Kids often sense danger before adults can see them. It reminds us that everyone has a past, sometimes filled with trauma, that can manifest in unexpected way toward unexpected people. The intuition of a child was dismissed until it was too late. Sometimes the monster that we fear most are the one living in our own home. A forensic reconstruction had revealed the horrific detail of a 6-year-old Rose murder staged to look like a normal night by her caregiver. The killer sent a text message to Rose's father claiming the child was asleep while her lifeless body was already being forced into a bucket. Most people think a clean crime scene means no crimes occur, but to forensic experts, a seemingly normal home is like a book with invisible ink, revealing horror only science can see. The forensic team worked through the front door of the house, not like guests, but like surgeons entering an operating room. Every step, every glance recorded. At first glance, everything looked normal. For family photo on the wall, pajama on the bed, nothing overturned. But the lead forensic expert eyes work like a motion detector hunting for abnormality that tell the real story. The living room carpet held a half-clean blood smear, white bucket stacked in the storage room, the same type that little Rose were found in. Wet towels stuffed beneath a bedroom door, not to keep out the trap, but to seal in the sound of violence. The timeline emerged with brutal clarity at about 7:30 p.m. Rose's grandmother dropped off both girls at their father's house. Everything looked normal. The girls were safe, tucked into their pajama, and left in Beetroot's care. Rose's older sister was sent to bed first, her toothbrush still damp in the bathroom cup. She went to sleep without knowing she'd be the only one to wake up. Between 8 and 9 p.m., Beetroot attacked Rose in the guest room. The child's small cry didn't soften Beetroot, they sharpened her rage. She wrapped a pillow to muffle the sound while the assault intensified. The forensic evidence showed Rose's head was slammed against the wall repeatedly, causing fatal injury. Between 8:30 and 9 p.m., while Rose laying dead or dying, Beetroot picked up her phone. She texted Rose's father that the girls are in bed and even mentioned the tooth fairy had visited Rose's sister. It was calm, casual, and comforting, like sending a thinking of you card after committing the murder. But by the time that message was sent, Rose is already dying or dead. The autopsy confirmed the unthinkable. Cause of death were manual strangulation and blunt force trauma. Tiny red dots with blood pressure bursts dotted around her eyes like tiny red flags, signaling immense suffering. Most devastating evidence suggested Rose may still have been alive, unconscious but breathing, when first sealed inside the bucket around 8:30. By 9 p.m., Beatrice had packed Rose's small body into one of those white buckets from the storage room. Head first, limb folded, lid screw tight, like a market version of hide and seek, where the hidden place become a final, horrifying confinement. Blood on the rim showed that even in her last moment, Rose had resisted. The half-packed wardrobe and missing pillowcase revealed that Beatrice knew she wasn't staying. She had planned to disappear after the murder, like a robber carrying a getaway bag. Surveillance video later caught Beatrice pulling a wagon with the bucket, leaving it on Rose's model front lawn. A final act of cruelty. What drives a caregiver to commit such violence against a child in their protection? Police just issued a bolo, B-O-L-O, for a woman who vanished without a trace. But here is the twist. She was already in the police station the whole time. Inside the Harahan Police Department, chaos erupted as officers frantically prepare to track down their suspect. Phone rang off the hook while detective hurtled over map with red circle marking possible escape route. Detective Raymond barked order into his phone. Check the bus terminal, airport, gas station. Where could she be? She could be anywhere by now. The word fugitive hang in the air as they all assumed one thing. Beatrice had fled across state line. Nobody questioned this narrative until a young patrol officer burst through the door, clutching a form in his hand. "Sir, you may want to see this," he said, handing over the document from the previous night. The intake form, timestamp 11:45 p.m. described a female mid-40s claiming memory loss, appeared confused. She couldn't give her address and had been brought in voluntarily before being transferred to East Jefferson Hospital for psychiatric evaluation. The lead detective's face went blank as he passed the document to his second in command when the other officer read the name aloud. The same stunned expression washed over his face, and stapled to the back of the report was a small booking photo, unmistakably Beetroot. She wasn't running or hiding at all. She had walked right through the front door of the station, hour after delivering the mysterious bucket to Rose's mother's backyard. The implication hit like a thunderbolt. Had Beatrice turned herself in without even realizing it? Was her memory lost, genuine, or part of an elaborate act? And how had the entire police department missed the fact that their RAM suspect was already in their system? What makes this even more bizarre is that this happened right after her deliver the bucket. What was in it, and why did she immediately seek out the police afterward? This case shows why investigators must challenge even their most basic assumption, because sometimes the person that you're looking for is already sitting in your own building. There's a hidden deception in our justice system where criminals pretend to be mentally ill to avoid prison. Nearly 1 in 5 defendants are faking these symptoms to manipulate the court. The security footage tells the story of a confused woman wandering into a police station in the middle of the night, hand raised, looking disoriented. The officer read her, trying to help this apparently early-stage Alzheimer patient who can't remember her name or address. She appeared confused but calm as they decide to hold her for psychological evaluation. That's when the lead investigator demeanor shifted from confusion to anger. She'd been here the whole time. Not a confession, something more calculated. She wasn't crazy at all. When the police arrive at the hospital, they don't find the chaos scene they expected. No woman banging her head against the wall, no screaming or chaos. Instead, sitting before them is a heartbreaking sight of a middle-aged Asian woman, the kind of person many stereotype as gentle, kind, soft-spoken. Her words drip with practice, regret, and guilt. She cried with trembling hands, begging officer to explain what happened during her psychological episode. Please tell me what I have done, she pleaded. I don't remember. I didn't mean to hurt anyone, did I? For a moment, even hardened detective feel it, that dangerous illusion of innocence. She resembles someone kind neighbor or a cleaning lady you trust to water your plant. Behind those tears and that pleading voice, hidden the woman who packed a child in a bucket and delivered her to her mother's doorstep with complete intention. This technique of faking mental illness has a name: malingering. Forensic psychologists use specialized tools like the SIRS-2 assessment to detect these deceptions. They look for inconsistent exaggeration of symptoms and other red flags that suggest someone is faking it. It's like being a detective for the mind, searching for the truth beneath careful constructed lie. The woman's case matched a pattern of sudden onset of severe symptoms, conveniently coincident with legal proceeding, a textbook presentation that's too perfect, inconsistent that reveal the performance. What makes this detection critical is that genuine mental illness require proper treatment, while those faking need to face justice. False positive can deny care to those truly suffering. And as malingers adapt their tactic, experts must constantly update their method. The legal system operates on the premise of innocent until proven guilty. Yet, forensic psychologists face a daily battle against criminals who know exactly how to game the system. From that moment, the case was no longer about why she did it. It's become about how much she knew she was doing it. The Cambodian genocide killed 2.2 million people in just 4 years. The Khmer Rouge forced children to murder their own parents as proof of loyalty. When you think of a history monster, Hitler probably come to mind first. In 12 years, the Nazi regime, in 12 years, the Nazi regime systematically murdered 17 million people. The world remember his face, his method, his defeat. Across the world, a former school teacher named Pol Pot killed 2.2 million Cambodians. That's nearly a quarter of Cambodia's entire population at the time. He killed 1 in 4 people, and he did it in just 4 years, 3 times faster than Hitler's killing rate. Hitler lost his word and shot himself in the bunker. Pol Pot never faced justice. Instead, he died peacefully at old age in 1998 with 2 wives by his side. How did he escape punishment? Simple. He ruled from the shadow. He rarely showed his face or appeared in public. But what truly separates these 2 architects of genocide isn't their faith, it's their method. The Nazi was efficient and methodical. They built gas chamber, they stack body like products, head heel, perfectly aligned. It's the kind of precision that only human can achieve, used in the most inhumane way possible. But the Khmer Rouge didn't waste resources on efficiency. They dug massive pit the size of a backyard. Then they gather their victim across the edge. At night, they blast music through loudspeaker to drown out the screaming. Then they kill them. Not with bullets. Those were too valuable. They used whatever they could find, the hammer, shovel, stick, and for the children, they would wrap them by the leg and swung their heads against the tree trunk. The body was thrown into the mass grave. It's called the killing fields. Pol Pot's vision was to create a utopia by emptying cities and forcing everyone into agriculture commune. Anyone educated was a threat. Doctors, teachers, even people who just wear glasses were executed. The Khmer Rouge especially target intellectual, wiping out a quarter of Cambodia population in the progress. Everyone left was uneducated. Imagine your entire city become empty overnight, everyone forced to become farmer. Family was deliberately separated to break any bond that may compete with the loyal to the regime. That's when they forced children to kill their parents to prove their alliance to the new order. A former high school called Tosling was converted into a torture center where thousands was interrogated before execution. Only 7 people survived out of 20,000 who entered. Today, survivors carrying the trauma while most perpetrators never face justice. It's a haunting reminder that ideology unchecked can destroy an entire society in just 4 years. The refugee children trauma doesn't stop when they reach safety. Up to 90% of them suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, mental wound that can last a lifetime. Now, I want you to picture this. You are 5 years old. You wake up to the sound of soldiers shouting outside. Your parents whisper your name, but they cannot hold you. They cannot even say goodbye. You are told to walk miles on barefoot under the sun of Cambodia. Your feet burn, your stomach growling, but you don't cry because crying gets people killed. You sleep beside strangers. You eat once a day. If you're lucky, you see bodies floating in the river. You smell death before you understand what death means. You learn to keep your face blank, no joy, no sadness, no reaction, because emotion means weakness. Trauma doesn't fade away. It's rewire a child developing brain. It's like trying to build a house on a shaky foundation. You see children your age disappear. You hear music playing loud enough to cover the sound of life ending right next to you, and somehow you survive. But you don't walk out of that world whole. You walk out hollow. When you seen hell as a child, you don't stop dreaming about fire when you grow up. The past never leaves. It's just changed the shape. It's hidden under your skin, in your breath, in the sound of the radio, in the crying of someone else's child. This trauma passed down through generations like a dark inheritance. Children of traumatized refugee parents show higher level of depression, anxiety, and stress. These hidden wounds affect everything: school performance, relationship, physical health. The damage can last a lifetime if left untreated. With proper support, refugee children can heal from trauma and thrive in their new home. The question is whether we are ready to give them what they need, because now you're going to hear what that same child roll up to do, and you will decide for yourself whether she's guilty or just one more victim of a war that never really ended. Most people think murder acts out of rage or passion. The twist is this perpetrator moved with calculated precision. Let's go back to that night, April the 25th, 2023. Louisiana, the night before the bucket. Inside the house, everything looked normal. Dinner plates washed with meticulous care. TV turned off without a second thought. Tulip, the older sister, brushed her teeth, the mint foam collecting at the corner of her mouth. Beetroot stood by the door, watching with eyes that revealing nothing. She told Tulip that she'd be leaving soon, that she had a trip in the morning. Her voice was calm, too calm. The kind of calm that only happened when someone already made their peace with the unthinkable. When Tulip went to bed, Beetroot waited. The house got quiet, so quiet that you could hear the air conditioner clicking like a metronome counting down. In Rose's room, little Rose slept in pink pajama with polka dot, tiny hand tucked under her cheek, the same room she wouldn't wake up from. Beetroot picked up a towel, her movement deliberate and unhurried. She slid it under the door like a professional, not to keep out the light, but to keep in the sound, revealing her premeditation. She sent a text to the father that would buy her time. The girl was asleep. She wrote with steady finger. She even added a smile, playing on innocence and trust. The tooth fairy come, she added, a chilling deception layer with childhood magic. And in that moment, she bought herself time. She wanted to check if he's coming home tonight, at what time, enough to turn that house into a graveyard or not. What happened next was quiet. No shouting to alert the neighbor, no breaking of furniture in struggle, just one adult and one child, and a silence too heavy to belong in a home. When it was over, she didn't panic like most would. She cleaned like someone whipping down a kitchen counter after dinner, wiped the floor of any evidence, changed her shirt with a casual air of someone preparing for a day out. She took a large white plastic bucket from the closet. That's her new makeshift coffin. She folded little Rose's small body with the same care she may use to fold laundry, placed her inside head first, as if she were simply packing away winter clothes. Limbs folded neatly like origami made of flesh and bone, like she was packing away a secret that would never stay hidden. Around 9:30 p.m., a security camera caught her outside, her face blank as unmarked paper. She was wearing white boots that reflect the streetlight, dragging a small red wagon, a child toy now carrying the darkest of secrets. The sound of the wagon wheels on the concrete was soft but steady, like someone taking a casual evening stroll. She walked through the dark street like she had nowhere urgent to be. At Rose's mother's house, she stopped with a deliberate of someone delivering an important package, lift the bucket from the wagon with strength that believed its rim content, placed it on the front lawn, adjusted so that it stood straight, a final act of twisted perfection. No hesitation in her movement, no looking back at what she had done, just that one small adjustment, like she wanted it to be seen. Then she turned around, mission accomplished, walked back home with the empty wagon trailing behind her. Most people think such extreme acts are spontaneous eruption of rage, but the truth is that they can be carefully planned, each step considered with terrifying clarity. How can we understand the capacity for such evil that hide behind normal faces? What invisible line that cross between thinking the unthinkable and doing it with such calculated precision? Detective found a time capsule of guilt buried near a Y-shaped street, and the shocking part is it contained a video confession of the final moment before Rose's death. When detectives finally confirmed Beetroot's identity, they start tracing her last contact. Every message, every call, every whisper left in the phone line become a digital breadcrumb crumb. One name appeared repeatedly, her sister in Alabama. Detective called her and immediately noticed how her voice trembled with anxiety. She revealed that Beetroot had phoned her around midnight, speaking in the voice that was not frightened. It was unnaturally calm. The sister confessed that Beetroot had told her, "I did something terrible." Then come the strange detail that made Detective pause. Beatrice mentioned burying her phone, not throwing it away or breaking it like most criminals would, burying it as if performing a ritual with her guilt. She specified it was beneath a tree shaped like a letter Y, somewhere in the neighborhood. The phone was wrapped in plastic, sealed away like a time capsule meant to reserve rather than destroy the evidence. That single sentence triggered an immediate search operation. Officers spread out with flashlight cutting through darkness and shovel ready to unearth the secret. The night air filled with the sound of rifle wrenching under their boots as they combat the area. Within just 20 minutes, a beam of light caught something reflective. A corner of plastic peeked through the soil, half buried, half exposed, as if the earth itself was rejecting the secret. The detective dropped to his knee and dug with his bare hand, pulling out the phone wrapped in two protective layers. It was still powered off, yet somehow feel warm from the earth, as if the device itself were alive with hidden information. When they powered it on, the screen blue glow, illuminating their face, with a confession cutting through darkness. Inside, they found a digital life preserve, text search, voice memo, all leaving behind invisible fingerprint of intention. But nothing prepared them for what they found next. One video file created hours before the phone was buried. It showed Rose, small and vulnerable, crying softly with her voice breaking as she whispered, "I want my grandma." In the background, you could clearly hear the sound of the tower being pushed under the bedroom door, a deliberate act to seal the room. Then come complete silence, more chilling than any scream could have been. The buried phone wasn't just evidence, it's become a digital time capsule of guilt. In the end, even the most carefully buried secret find their way to surface. The trial. A chilling video found buried near the crime scene captured a 6-year-old girl's final moment, and what makes it even more disturbing is that she had been drawing pictures of a woman with X across her eyes, desperately trying to warn others of the danger that she couldn't escape. 2 years later, the courtroom lights buzzed overhead as the trial of Beetroot began. The reporter called it the bucket murder, a face that felt wrong, reducing Rose's life to just another case file. Most believe that PTSD always leads to uncontrollable outbursts, but Beatrice's case revealed something more sinister. Her action was not chaotic. They were calculated, dragging a wagon, wiping a bucket clean, burying her phone under a Y-shaped tree. That is not madness. That methodical planning. The jury selection took 3 days. 12 people with no tie to the family, no violent trauma of their own. But when Rose's name was first spoken, Reeve just rippled visibly through the room. You could feel the air shift. The prosecution presented their evidence, photo, timeline, map, and then the video found under that Y-shaped tree. When Rose's voice filled the courtroom, asking for her grandma, no one moved. No cough, no whisper, only that trembling sound of a child lost moment. The defense stood and spoke a single word: trauma. They painted Beatrice as a woman broken by war, with flashback, dissociative episode, and hallucination. Their psychiatric expert claimed that wasn't criminal responsible, but the teachers who took the stand told a complete different story. They spoke of Rose's fear and her drawing, the woman in pink boot with X over her eyes. One teacher broke down mid-sentence, unable to continue. Another recalled how Rose would whisper, "She's mean," that kind of whisper used when someone dangerous may be listening. Then come Tulip testimony. Rose's sister, only 9 years old. Her voice shook, but didn't break as she described the night her sister disappeared. How Beetroot told her not to wake her dad. Anna, Rose's mother, was the last to testify. She read a letter written by Tulip. "One day I will forgive you, Miss Beatrice, because I want to go to heaven to see my sister again." The room froze. Even the judge looked away. The jury returned in just 45 minutes with their verdict: guilty on all counts. Life in prison, plus 80 years. No parole. When the verdict was read, Beatrice showed no emotion, no tears, no plea. She simply said, "I hope one day the world understand why." But what the world understands is this: she kills a child. She falls her into a bucket like discard waste. She buried her phone to hide her guilt. Rose's case forces us to confront a devastating impact of violence against our most vulnerable. It reminds us that behind every headline is a family forever changed by tragedy. And somewhere in the prison cell, Beetroot would sit alone, her word hanging in the air, her mystery forever locked behind the wall of her mind. Thank you for listening. If you make it this far, please share Rose's story. And tonight, hug the people you love, especially the little ones.